Okay, so this is going to be a quick video about the Primalist Grovekeeper, the character that I've been playing on stream for almost 2 weeks by now. I'm just going to cover the basics, right? Talent, gears, stats, rotation, a little bit of rotation, what buttons to press, and macros and WeakAuras. I will still strongly recommend that you compare my gear with other people doing more DPS in logs and make a decision, right? But for now, what I'm gonna show you, it's what's been working for me and what's allowing me to heal dungeons and do decent DPS with decent heals in raids. So first, the Primalist Grovekeeper is a support. You heal while doing damage, not a healer. You can solo heal dungeons, yes, and I've been able to heal up to mythic dungeons, but an actual healer will probably have a much better time in, especially when you are paired with a tank with not really good gear, under geared, or maybe just a tank in DPS gear. Also, you are a melee character, so you will be healing melee. You will heal people around you, and if there's someone super far away, like at max range of distance, most of your heals won't reach them, so you will have to stop doing whatever you're doing, attacking, and just walk a little bit towards them and send them some heals, right? But it's still not really complicated to deal with all those downsides. You can still heal dungeons, even if your tank is under geared. You can just pump heals constantly onto them and it's gonna be fine. Also, there's pros of bringing Primalist Grovekeeper as a healer in dungeons, and that's that you have Bloodlust because you're a support class. You will also help kill things faster because you will do more damage than an actual healer. You will just constantly be buffing your team. Now for talents, I'm gonna show you the talents that I have. I'm gonna go through some of the things here really quick. In the Grovekeeper talent tree, the first point is Hammer of Life, and that's one that enables the entire spec. It makes you heal people around you that have to be around you, somewhat close to you, and also makes you do some AoE damage up to 3 nearby enemies. Now, later in the tree, some people take Primal Power. I don't, because at this point, I don't really need the cost reduction of Rage for Hand of the Earth Mother. Earlier, when you're like around 40, you might want to take these just so you are not constantly rage starved. Now, the other talent that a lot of Primalist Grovekeepers take, but I don't, is Sacred Grove. It's a big tree that you put on literally on top of you and heals a lot, and also gives mana and rage to the allies inside there. The issue with this cooldown ability is that it's like a big tree that clutters your entire screen. It doesn't let you see anything else, and it's awful. Especially in very close spaces like stockades. It literally becomes your entire screen. You just see green. That's it. Instead, I just decided just to put a point in ruin training, just because it's more AoE heals, somewhat compensates not having Sacred Grove. Now, you're going to see also a lot of people going for Earth Mother's Empowerment, really good, and I will strongly suggest you take this instead of Druid Training if you're just gonna spam dungeons. This gives dodge chance, 15% dodge chance to your tank if you constantly heal them with Hand of the Earth Mother. But since I don't tend to use Hand of the Earth Mother that much, like every 5 seconds to keep this buff on the tank, I just use this and not care about pressing another button. If you really want to go with kind of like the meta options, just spec it to Sacred Grove instead of Druid Training, and to Earth Mother's Empowerment instead of Elemental Cascade. Then the other talent that I want to talk about is Primordial Earth. This summons a sort of a trend that heals people and deals damage, and this triggers from critical strikes with melee attacks, so it's important to have a lot of crit because of this. And then the last talent is Ancient of War. Here you can make a decision whether Ancient of War and Ancient of Lore, but Ancient of War is the better option. This gives crit chance to people in your party that are nearby, and also increases the effectiveness of Hammer of Life by 30%. This means that you're gonna heal more and do a little bit more of AoE damage. Now that was a Grovekeeper talent tree. In the Primalist talent tree, I have seen some people in raid logs take Bramble Patch. I don't. I don't think it's really good, so I just don't take Bramble Patch, whatever. Then the other talent that I want to talk about is Dream Sleep. People will tell you to spec into this in certain situations. This works like, I believe it's Hand of Protection from Paladins. Makes an ally invulnerable to any kind of damage for 15 seconds and heals them and recovers mana for them too. Then the last talent that I want to talk about here is Primal Convergence. This is very important. It increases the effectiveness of your boons by 100%. Now, boons are like sort of like aspects of from hunters. They work the same way. Most of the time, you're gonna be using Boon of the Bear, which gives you melee haste, more rich generation from auto attacks. That's gonna be like your default boon. And then sometimes, if there's like a lot of fear, charms, or sleeps going around in a fight, you might be asked to change to Boon of the Lion. This one gives you a chance to resist those things, fear, charm, and sleeps, by 48%, and also dispels fear, charm, and sleep from people around you in your party within 30 yards every 3 seconds. So it's kind of like a, I don't know, like a tremor totem, something like that. The other three are not really that important for PvE, at least. Boon of the Turtle makes you be more tanky. Boon of the Hawk is for spellcasters, and Boon of the Wolf gives you more movement speed and dodge chance. Then after that, the rest of the talents pretty much just common sense, kind of, right? Easy to figure out. Here you want Primal Fury, don't go for Primal Strikes. Primal Fury is just much better. And now, before I forget, the talents here, one that are at the right, you have options. Here, for the first one, Vitality Surge, Grovekeeper's Presence. That 1% hit chance, it's not that good. Vitality Surge is much better. Then here, Infused with Power, gives people around you 5% critical strike chance. It's also pretty good. The other option is just to give people around you armor. That's meh. Then here, Douse or Flourishing Growth. Douse tends to give you a decent chunk of damage, and also Douse increases the magic damage taken by the enemy. So it's like good offensively for you, and you still buff the damage of your team with this. So overall, I think Douse is much better. Flourishing Growth is like another button that you have to press every 20 seconds. 1 GCD that you're gonna have to spend here. And then here, for the last option, Primal Awakening is your Bloodlust. But if you have another support, that's going to be the one that uses Bloodlust and raids, maybe you should then go for Neptune's Wrath. Everyone around you is going to do that additional damage, but that damage is going to scale with attack power. So the more attack power that you have, the more additional damage people are in your team will do with this buff. Okay, for gear, right now I mostly have heroic and mythic pieces from dungeons. For stats, go for strength. You need as much strength as you can. Then after that is crit, right? There's a lot of things that proc with crit. Then, you know, cap your hit rating. It's super easy. You only need 20 hit rating, and also try to get a decent amount of expertise. I think I over invested in expertise, in my opinion. I've been kind of like realizing this lately. So try to prioritize strength, attack power. Then after all of that, if you can find a piece like this has strength, critical, expertise, and some extra spell power, that's good. Don't try to force spell power. But like most of the abilities of Grovekeepers scale with attack power and spell power. The weight is different for each ability. For example, Seismic Wave. The healing portion of Seismic Wave scales more with spell power, but the damage portion of Seismic Wave scales more with attack power. But still, both spell power and attack power will increase the damage of your abilities. But for the most part, you're looking to get as much strength as possible mainly because you have a talent that increases your strength by 10%, and strength for you is also attack power. The same goes for enchants. Get strength on a lot of your gear with enchants. Don't forget of the expertise. You can get expertise in wrists, I believe. Now for weapons, I said that I'm using two one-handed weapons, dual wielding. So the ones that I chose are Empyrean Demolisher and Flurry Axe. Empyrean Demolisher gives you a haste buff of 155 rating. This triggers a lot. This is like, I have seen it like up to 50% of uptime in details. Good option. If you don't like the buff, you could go for another slow 100 weapon that probably has attack power or crit, something like that. And for the offhand, I chose a fast offhand because two reasons. Why? One is rage, so I don't go rage starved, and the other one is the more times you swing with weapons, the more chances you get to proc Primordial Earth. So fast offhand is what I chose. Then for the trinkets, I chose Witching Hourglass. It's pretty good, a lot of crit, and also gives you a haste. Then Rose of Remembrance gives you spell power, and also another even more spell power when you heal an ally, and you're gonna be constantly healing allies. So this is going to proc almost all the time. One last thing to say is that you can wear up to plate, but it's not really necessary to just exclusively use plate. Okay, for your rotation, I'm going to just explain the sort of basic kind of like DPS rotation. You most of the time are going to be spamming Wildclaw, and then use either Seismic Wave or Seismic Crash on cooldown. It's just better to use Seismic Wave because you know you want to heal people around you too. So Seismic Wave on cooldown. Then try to have almost all the time an Earthquake on the ground. And use Earthquake only when you have an Aftershock proc that makes you cast instantly Earthquake. If you need Rage, use Guild Barrage instead of Earthquake with an Aftershock proc to get the Rage that you need, and then that's pretty much it. Those are the buttons that you're going to constantly be pressing. Wildflow spam, Seismic Wave, any Rage, Guild Barrage, and an Earthquake on the ground, then I use Earthquake. One thing that you have to have in consideration is that Earthquakes do not stack, so you only need one on the ground. My WeakAura tells me the duration of an Earthquake, the last Earthquake that I casted, always have only one Earthquake on the ground, and that's it. When you're healing an under gear tank, you are going to forget about Earthquake. You won't have enough rage. You just keep your rage up with your barrage, so you can spam Hand of the Earth Mother on the tank or people around you. And if you need even more rage, use Seismic Crash instead of Seismic Wave. That's in case, you know, it's only your tank getting chunked and attacked. If there's multiple people around you that are low HP, just use Seismic Wave. But yeah, it's gonna be tough, but the more you are pairing it with under gear tanks, the more you're going to get used to those situations. Now, for cooldowns, you have a couple. Actually, quite a lot. Like I said before, Grove Guardian, I put this cooldown almost all the time. Everyone in this circle, it's a circle, it's going to be healed, and enemies are going to be attacked. They're going to receive damage and they're going to get rooted too. The only times that you're probably going to save it is when you have to dispel poisons, when there is like specific moments in the fight that it is very important to dispel poisons or diseases, because Grove Guardian does all of that automatically. So if there's fights like that, you need to save Grove Guardian for those moments. The other cooldown is Ancient of War. This turns into a big tree, and you pretty much, like I said, do more damage, heal more, and heal more to people around. The downside is that you move way slower. But if you, let's say, you press Ancient of War, but then you have to move. Either your tank starts like pulling even more, and you really need to move fast. You can cancel Ancient of War with Boulder Dash. Boulder Dash is going to cancel Ancient of War and give you movement speed. Like 70%? Yeah. This is like your movement cooldown. You also have Primal Rush for even more movement. And Primal Rush gives you Rage. It's pretty good. Now, then you have Primal Convergence. I explained it before. Good for increasing the effect of your boon, your aspect. Then, as defensive, you have Bear Skin. Bear Skin works only for you. 60% reduce damage taken, and stun CCs in general. Root, stun, incapacitate, those things have 30% less duration. Then another defensive that you have, and this is like, I believe it's raid wide. Yes, yeah, this is Protective Roar. Protective Roar gives you rage and gives everyone in the raid 10% more maximum HP. It has a 2-minute cooldown, very nice. And something extra that you could do, if you don't mind spending a GCD, it's Orsak's Bellow. This is a demoralizing shout from warriors. It works like that. Reduced attack power to enemies. That is something extra that you can do. After that, but there's no other thing that I'm missing. Of course, you have Teresan's Rage, 30-second cooldown, and this recovers mana and gives you rage. It's your cooldown to generate resources. Very nice. And this is going to keep your mana full almost all the time. You're not going to have mana issues, mainly because Teresan's Rage is really good. Then after all of this, if you had Sacred Grove, you have to use it. Sacred Grove will be like a big healing cooldown. You know, when there's a lot of damage about to happen, pop Sacred Grove, boom, and probably blind your entire team with it because it looks awful. So TLDR, White Long spam, Earthquake, Seismic Wave on cooldown, just one Earthquake on the ground, that's it. You have to heal, okay, pop a heal, boom, Pine of the Earth Mother. You're running low on rage because you're healing, Yield Barrage. You need even more rage, Seismic Crash, and keep healing. You need even more rage after that, Teresan's Rage, and keep healing. And then use the cooldowns that I explained. For macros, I have a couple of things. This is a macro that's used for Hand of the Earth Mother. This allows me to attack an enemy. Let's say I'm attacking a boss, and the boss is targeting, of course, one of my tanks. So when I press this macro, it's gonna heal the tank that's being attacked by the boss, the target of the target. Super nice if you don't want to disrupt your rotation that much. You won't lose focus of the enemy. You just press part of the Earth Mother macro and you're gonna heal your tank. Then you have all the Earthquake macro. This allows you to cast Earthquake on your feet. Usually you have to cast Earthquake selecting an area. Kind of like the green circle that you probably see a lot of times. But with this, you cast it all the time on your feet. Then I have a White Claw macro that just allows me to start auto attacking when I just press it. So I don't miss any auto attack swings when the fight is starting. And if you use Spirit Charge, which the Spirit Charge is decent to use when you are leveling and you have a tank that's going through the dungeon, like if it was a Formula car or NASCAR, whatever, then the Spirit Charge is going to be useful, and I have a macro for that. So you use a Spirit Charge while targeting a mob, and you're gonna end up using the Spirit Charge to dash into a tank. The Spirit Charge works similar to Intervene, pretty much. So this is taken like an Intervene macro. So it works the same. And then I group up Blood Fury, which is the Racial of Orcs. and Primal Convergence, and another item that I used to use, into just one macro. And you should try to do this, try to group up cooldowns so you don't have a lot of buttons to press. The WeakAura, I think I already explained it, but if I forgot, this thing that's glowing right now, that's the Seismic Wave cooldown. And Seismic Wave shares the cooldown with Seismic Crash, so you can track both cooldowns, which is this icon. Then this one that's next to it, this is the Aftershock proc. You get the Aftershock proc. There's a 10% chance on melee damage and healing done to get an Aftershock proc. Okay, so when you get an Aftershock proc, this will glow. And if you have a lot of rage, it will show you that you can, the earthquake icon telling you, okay, you can use earthquake. But if you are low rage, then the icon is going to change to be a barrage, telling you that you need rage. So yeah. And then the earthquake duration tracker. It's a simple macro that simple WeakAura that I made. I don't want to make this too long. So if you have still any questions, you can ask them. If I didn't let myself be understood in certain parts, you can ask me to repeat those things in comments, whatever. That's it.